My name is Alaina Jackson. It is January the 25th at 4:15 p.m. This is at the Goodwood Library. My mentor is Miss Priscilla Anderson. She is a mechanical engineer at ExxonMobil, and she earned a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. The purpose of this interview is to gain knowledge on chemical pollution and on my mentor herself, and to sort of expand on my ideas for my senior project. Okay, so can you describe your job and how you would help prevent contamination?
Yeah, so my job is at the chemical company, but I'm not a chemical engineer by background, and my role is not a chemical engineer. So what I do in my job is help maintain the mechanical integrity of our piping and equipment. So meaning we have process streams, and obviously we're making reactions and making different final products. And I make sure that all of our equipment and our piping is being inspected or looked at regularly to make sure that there's not any leaks. We don't want leaks. So.
Okay. Why did you decide your career was the best for you?
I went into engineering because I wanted something that would be challenging, intellectually challenging, and in general, engineering is problem solving. I mean, it just teaches you how to problem solve and work with others. I decided to work for Exxon because I interned there the summer before I graduated. I just liked what I was doing. I liked the people that I met, and I liked the oil and gas field from a manufacturing perspective. It wasn't something that I was used to, but I mean, we all use gas, and it was interesting to figure out how it's made. We all use plastic. It was interesting to figure out how we make it. So that's why I went into the field.
Okay. What perspectives have you encountered regarding chemical regulations?
So obviously, being a large corporation, we have to deal with the government and make sure we are compliant with their regulations. We have different OSHA standards and various standards that we have to meet. So the perspective I have when it comes to the different standards is more from a compliance standpoint. We aim to be fully compliant with all government standards.
Okay. What do you feel are the main contributions to chemical pollution?
I think humanity and the development of humanity is the main contribution to chemical pollutants. As a human population, we've grown and found ways to do things faster and better and bigger. And with that has come a lot of industrial changes, a lot of use of coal or burning things. I mean, we have to create energy in order to have some of these things work. So with that, there's byproducts. I think just the advancement of human society, we've created more waste as we continue to make more stuff.
Do you feel like we can ever fully take ourselves out of that situation?
I think for us to have a world of no pollution is not realistic. I think that's a utopia that wouldn't be on this planet, but I do think it's a healthy goal to strive for minimizing what we do and being conscious and wise with the choices that we make. I mean, even if we were go all the way back in time and we were going to cook food with fire, you're still polluting the environment because you're creating smoke. So I think to get away from that is not possible, but there's ways to do it without causing serious injury and harm and long-lasting changes.
What are some common contaminants and their effects
For in general, I mean, let's say common contaminants. Daily household products. There's a lot of chemicals we use to clean that they just sit there. I mean, after we clean, there's still residue there. You said chemical contaminants. I have to think about it. Beauty products, hairsprays, makeup, companies, the contaminants that are put into the environment from things that are made by manufacturing sites, car companies, all of the above. I think there's contaminants in everything.
Okay, I'd agree with that, definitely. In your opinion, have chemical regulations in the past 15 years improved or worsened environmental conditions?
Improved.
Improved? How?
Yeah. As industry has grown, in general, there's just become much stricter regulations and more standards that companies have to adhere to. Because over the last 15, 20 years, mistakes have been made, and the government has realized that there needs to be more regulations. There needs to be more involvement and more control And companies in general also regulate themselves more because there's been a lot of incidents where people have gotten hurt, things have happened. So I would say that it's the regulations have increased as if you look at how many people used to get hurt when, for example, when bridges were built 100 years ago, it was normal for you to expect people to die building bridges. That's not the norm today. Today we still do the same things. We still build bridges, we still manufacture things, but it's not an accepted view to think that getting hurt is okay or that polluting is okay. So I would say standards and regulations and just the ethics are much higher than they used to be.
Yeah, okay. What would you say are some of the most common or some of the more serious effects of chemical pollution?
I think probably some of the biggest changes to our environment, like the global warming, things like that. And not just that, health. There's a lot of health problems. A lot of kids have more allergies. A lot of people in general have more food allergies. You see children with more eczema, and no one really knows why. People have dietary issues. There's a lot of issues that go on in our culture, in our society, and we really don't know why. And I think that probably all has to do with the changes we've made.
Okay. What are some of the positive effects of chemical treatment or chemical use in substances?
I think that chemicals can be used to conserve and reuse. Wastewater treatment is a perfect example. You have water that has waste in it, has stuff in it, and you can either dispose of it and not use it again, or you can put chemicals in it that will clean up the water. I mean, there's stuff in there that's going to eat it because it's food for the creatures. And then you have created more water that you can use for something else. Now, it depends on what you're putting in the water to treat it, of course. Some things are probably a little bit safer than others. Yeah, I think the use of chemicals sometimes can be beneficial. You can use chemicals to prevent illnesses or use chemicals to take other chemicals out that would be potentially even more damaging.
Okay. Regarding human health, what are some long-term effects of chemical pollution, or what are some long-term effects of bioaccumulation?
I think if you look at maybe China or California, those would be good examples. I wonder, I'm not familiar, but I would wonder how the health of people in China are, where there is just a haze of smog everywhere. And there's a lot of manufacturing happening there, mostly because it's our society that wants these things. I mean, they're producing the majority of that for the Western world. So I would wonder how people are doing there health-wise. I mean, they had the SARS outbreak not that long ago. That was in the last 10 years. So I would say that there's probably some serious side effects of it. Now, I'm not sure about California either. I know parts of California also have that same type of hazy smog. But I also think things like that, you're not going to see it in 5 years. You know, you might see it a generation down the line or a couple generations. And some of the changes might not even. You'd have to look for it. It's not just going to jump out at you. You're going to have to start connecting some dots.
Okay. Last question. How could the public be more informed about the effects of chemical pollution?
Trying to be more aware or reading. First, accepting that maybe some of the things we've been taught, some of the things that we have learned all our lives are not true. And being open to those beliefs, those fundamental beliefs being challenged. It's really hard when you are at any age to hear that what you've been taught your whole life is lie. Or that potentially it's not fully true. So I think the first step to being able to gain knowledge or gain wisdom is to be open to the idea that maybe you don't know everything, or maybe some things you know are not right. And then also being open to hearing the counter argument, and if there's an attitude or a response inside that's very conflicting or defensive, kind of checking and wondering, why am I so defensive about this, and just remaining open to new information as it comes in.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Let me